lives seem to revolve around time. Time to wake up, time to work, time to study, time to make art. Or maybe there isn't always enough time to make art, and you tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow comes and you push it off again, and before you know it, several weeks, months, or even a year has gone by. Then you look back with regret and blame yourself for being lazy and ask yourself, will I ever draw enough? What if it's not you who is the problem, but simply your approach to drawing and making art is not working for you? Let's draw 4 experimental realistic sketchbook portraits while we chat about several mindsets and tips that you might find helpful to drawing more consistently. To reconnect with why you want to make art in the first place. Deep down, we all got into art because we once made art and it was fun. So make your creative process fun and focus on the aspects that you find enjoyable. Experiment, be playful, and follow wherever your creativity takes you. This is what I had in mind when I started this sketchbook page. I wanted to try out 4 different watercolor painting techniques. For the first portrait, I wanted to try and replicate the art style of Dish Asher. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I really like the way she layers her strokes with watercolors, which in my opinion gives her paintings a lot of depth. For the second portrait on this sketchbook page, I will try out Ale Casanova's art style. I really like how he uses vibrant colors, which makes his art really pop. On the third realistic portrait, I'll try using tape to add interest to my art. And on the last one, I will try going crazy and creating an abstract piece and seeing what shapes or subjects I will see within the random blobs. If you're disappointed in your art progress, or you're wondering whether any effort you give will ever be enough, it's possible that you're relying on willpower and motivation alone to get you to pick up the pencil or paintbrush. However, as we know, motivation comes and goes and is not that reliable. But what if there was a simple way that didn't depend on your sheer willpower? There's an interesting study that I read in Atomic Habits by James Clear, which goes like this. Anne Thorndike, a primary care physician at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, had a crazy idea. She believed she could improve the eating habits of thousands of hospital staff and visitors without changing their willpower or motivation in the slightest way. In fact, she didn't plan on talking to them at all. Thorndike and her colleagues designed a 6-month study to alter the choice architecture of the hospital cafeteria. They started by changing how drinks were arranged in the room. Originally, the refrigerators located next to the cash registers in the cafeteria were filled with only soda. The researchers added water as an option to each one. Additionally, they placed baskets of bottled water next to food stations throughout the room. Soda was still in the primary refrigerators, but water was now available to drink in all locations. Over the next 3 months, the number of soda sales at the hospital dropped by 11.4%. Meanwhile, sales of bottled water increased by 25.8%. They made similar adjustments and saw similar results with food in the cafeteria. Nobody had said a word to anyone eating there. We are more likely to make certain choices not necessarily because we actively want to, but because it is a visible option in front of us at the moment. So logically, in order to draw more often without depending on motivation, have your drawing supplies visible and in reach. This makes the task of drawing so visible and therefore easy and attractive that you can't help but sit down and draw. By doing this, every time you walk by your art supplies, you are reminding yourself to draw, and the act of getting started is way easier because you have everything already set up for yourself and you can just dive in. Something else that I found helpful is to establish a time and/or place where you are going to make art. A lot of times you don't get something done simply because you don't have a concrete plan. Of course, it's ideal to have both a designated area where you make art and a designated time, but if having an area isn't an option for you, that's alright. Prioritize finding time for your art. Personally, what I do is designate every other week to drawing and painting. Designate a time, day, or a whole week in which you create at least one thing. Make it simple. I understand that our lives are busy and making art isn't always possible, so if the time you designated for art comes around and you don't want to or can't make art, then that's okay. Be kind to yourself. There is always tomorrow. Improving in your art isn't about pushing until you can't take it anymore. That's not healthy. Just be mindful about differentiating when you actually can't make art, and if you're capable but simply putting it off and avoiding it. Even if you can't be 100% consistent on when you make art, designating a time to create art gives you a loose structure and makes it more likely that you will draw more. If you want to take it a step further, you can make a third party hold you accountable and depend on you making art. This comes in the form of posting your art on social media. Personally, I think something that has helped me stick with it and progress consistently in my art is starting a YouTube channel. I know that you might find posting your art as pressure and scary. However, if you center your page on simply posting your art progress like I did, and don't expect too much from it, you'll find it beneficial in the long run. Eventually, you'll also develop a supportive community of people. Another mindset is to not unnecessarily wallow in your negative emotions, be it regret or disappointment. What was in the past is in the past, and being mad at yourself for not getting yourself together sooner and making more art isn't the goal. What matters is now you're ready. It's possible that you aren't satisfied with your art progress because you are keeping yourself in a negative mental loop that is reflecting your reality. When you are disappointed in yourself, you get discouraged from trying again, so you don't, which in turn makes you feel more disappointed, creating a circular thinking pattern. You might be thinking, simply changing my emotions and perspective won't make me a better artist. Interestingly enough though, studies show that emotions act as a lens through which we perceive reality, meaning our emotional state significantly influences how we interpret and experience the world around us. For instance, a study, which I will link below in the description, states that a series of experiments asked whether people feeling sad would perceive a hill to be steeper than people feeling happy. In some experiments, mood was induced by having people listen to either happy or sad music through headphones as they viewed a hill. In others, mood was induced by having people outline, with the intent of later writing a story about a happy or sad event in their lives. Not only did perceptions of the hill differ for the groups made happy or sad as predicted, but variations of mood within the groups had significant effects as well. Thus, for participants in the sad group, those who were sadder perceived the hill as even steeper. In addition, the results showed that the current mood state, rather than more general affective traits, was the specific factor that predicted changes in perception. After painting in the first layer of this abstract piece, I flipped the sketchbook upside down and started to paint in a portrait, but I wasn't really enjoying the process, so I stopped and decided to leave it as is. Perhaps simply changing your approach to drawing and making art through these tips will unlock your artistic potential. Remember, make art by working smarter, not harder. When you create art this way, you are enabling yourself to do what you love and keep showing up for yourself and make art. And if you feel as though you're not qualified or like it can't possibly happen to you, let me tell you this. I believe in you. Keep going and trying because you never know where you'll be in the future. As Wayne Gretzky once said, take the opportunities. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If anything in this video was helpful and speaks to you, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.